All right, welcome, Shiprockers. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We had some technical difficulties there, so we do appreciate you guys sticking around and hanging on with us. My name is Justin, and along with my co-host Chad Nicefield from the band Wilson, and also your 2020 Shiprock host and 2021 coming up. We are more than proud to welcome our buddy Joe from the band DED tonight for Making Waves. So, Joe, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother.
Again, I'm sorry, just kind of dealing with all this technical stuff. Let me turn this off. So, it's okay, Shiprock World. We're having a little bit of a shit show today, but everything's gonna be fine because we're gonna get a lot of good stuff going on here pretty soon. Once again, everyone, Shiprock World, thank you so much on Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. Joe, thank you for being patient and giving us your time tonight. Guys, if you haven't been with us before for Making Waves, basically we spend like an hour with an artist, just talk about everything from music to touring to life in this very interesting times we're going through right now. And if you're following along and you want to ask questions for Joe, go ahead and throw those in the comment section and we'll get to those. But for right now, I'm just going to let Chad and Joe talk about the music stuff. So thank you, gentlemen.
Well, hello, Joe.
Well, hello, Chad.
I had to ask you a question, and I'm going to pretend like I don't know the answer. How long have you been growing that beard out for?
Since I was born, since the very beginning of my time. No, for about 2 years. Ups and downs, cutting it, dyeing it, all kinds of things like that, and it's trimmed right now. And I don't know, because we were discussing this before we got on here and everything, and
this is why we had technical difficulties, because we were trying to figure out how what he had hidden underneath his beard, and
exactly.
Once we found out, here we are.
Right, we're talking about hiding bow ties and things, but so then I see you and you have such a nice scruff, and so I love the scruff as well. So I do miss the days of the scruff as well. But then once you shave it and it's gone, you have you miss the beard. So the grass is always greener. You know what I mean? It's just how it goes.
I agree. I'm jealous every time I look at your face. I think about how good it felt to not give a fuck in that period of time in my life. So I just want to commend you on it.
I'm not giving a fuck. Thank you.
Extremely jealous. I mean, just like you said, when I shaved it off and I saw my bare face, all I thought about instantly.
So vulnerable.
Oh no!
Yes. Oh, this is what I look like. Yeah.
But moving on away from your beard, you guys have a sick micro EP out. I just finished listening to it for my third time, and I wanted to ask you something about that because I find it to be so fresh and new for specifically the rock space. Where you see the micro EP, the version of putting something out that's way even less amount of songs, like a traditional EP before a record or something like that. And was that decision to put this current micro EP out based around something that your label and you decided early on, or did you switch gears because of the current state we're in as a society?
It was the plan the whole time, and like I said, micro EP is such a funny term to me, but I guess that's what labels are calling it. The music world's calling it, so that's fine. But we were just to me it's just a single with another song. It's just a single with a street track kind of, and it's going to be part of our album. Our album is recorded, and we're working on figuring out. That's the thing, is figuring out how to release an album right now, because you work so hard on it and you do all these things, and then you put it out at a time like this. We can't tour on it until whenever, we don't know. So that's the difficult part, is wanting to give it so much life, but not knowing how to necessarily. You're only going to be able to give it what you can. You can't tour. You can't, you know what I mean? So it's a weird thing, but we're figuring that out for sure. But in the meantime, releasing songs, luckily, the way that people digest music now, you can release a couple songs here and there. I know before our last album, I think we released 4 or 5 songs before that album came out too, just kind of slowly doing that. So I guess we've always kind of been fans of that, because you see hip hop do it. You see, we were talking about Bring Me the Horizon does it. I see other bands do it. And it's such a cool thing, because you can release, 1 song, 2 songs, whatever, however you want. You can just release it in any way. And it's I don't know, it's cool in that sense, but as far as as far as like, the album, I'm really excited to share that when the time is right.
Yeah, I find it to be, like I said, super interesting, and I think that it allows you to dictate. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it would allow you to dictate your story as it goes, as the rollout comes. So, a lot of times I've encountered with Wilson and different bands over the years. There's always the big idea of putting out the whole unique piece of the body of work out into the world at that time. This is the big busto, and then you try to get a tour, or you try to get whatever it is to go along with it, so you can market said record. Where in this version of what you're doing with the micro EP, like you can call it that and say it's a single with another song, but if you're poising the release pattern over a certain period of time leading up to a record, not just like gratis tracks. If you purchase the record in advance, you get this, or, it's not just promoting the record. It's allowing you to put pins. Of course, you can't tour right now, but it's allowing you to put unique pins in your story to build your act, in a much more substantial way.
Yeah.
I loved seeing that. It was the first time I saw that it was a micro EP, and I just wanted to comment. I think it's a really cool move.
Cool. Thank you, brother. Trying to stay cutting edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did a deep dive last night on your Wikipedia, and I noticed that you kind of started DED from the fanning the flames from something that existed before, and I noticed there was a band called Greeley Estates. That were you in that band, or were you?
I wasn't in that. That was Kyle and David, the bass player and the guitar player, were in that band.
Okay, I think my old band played with that band a few times in Detroit, so I was like, maybe we played with each other. Could you tell me about
your old band?
That band was called Airs.
Airs. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Were you kind of like Greeley, like the screamo, like at the time, or were you?
It was before. It used to be called With Rescue Breathing, and we did a bunch of tours with like The Used and Motion City Soundtrack, My Chemical Romance. Back in those days, right when those bands were on the cusp, we were like, hey, we're gonna go on tour with you guys, that sort of thing. From the hall shows. We used to play hall shows, and I'm assuming you're in Phoenix. That's where you're based. You guys are based out of?
I'm in New York, but I'm from Phoenix. I was born in Phoenix, but I'm in New York right now.
So did you guys back home do like the hall shows and all of that when you're cutting your earlier bands before DED, cutting your teeth?
Yeah, I've been in bands since I was like 15. I started being in bands. So like our first, it was like all punk rock. It was like, we wanted to be NoFX and MXPX and stuff like that. And so, our first shows then were, playing at parties and backyards, and then playing at a bowling alley place called Tempe Bowl. All the punk shows were at Tempe Bowl. Yeah. It's hard to remember that long ago, but like Millencolin and Tsunami Bomb and stuff like that, go to those shows. And then we moved to this place called the Nile Theater that maybe you've played at, actually.
Yeah, I know the room.
Yeah, and then going there and playing there. Like, I remember going to see Strung Out there. Like one of my first like kind of like punk hardcore shows, Straight Face was on there. They're like a straight edge hardcore band. And so like, all that. And then, so I've played backyard parties and I've played halls and I've played like anything you can think of. Like I've played motorcycle store opening, parking lot shows when I was like 16. So yeah, everything,
Like, hey man, we got a couple speakers down here. You want to throw a show?
Exactly. When you're a kid, you're just like, sure, anything,
I'm here with a question for Ship Rock. This is from Angie. She wants to know, Joe, who would you like to still collaborate with and or go on tour with?
Wow. Yeah, both of those. I'd really love to collaborate with Run the Jewels is one that really comes to mind that would be really cool. Or Trent Reznor. I'm sure everybody says they'd love to collaborate with Trent Reznor, but that's definitely one. And tour with would probably be, it'd be really cool to tour with a band like Run the Jewels, because I really love like mixing genres together. We've never played a show or been on a bill with Deftones, and that would be probably one of those ones that I really love to do. Yeah.
Those are great choices. I was segues into this next question I was going to ask you is what did you discover that made you want to be in a band? It sounds like you came from the punk world like I did, but I don't know if necessarily that was the version that like sparked the interest to be a vocalist. Was there anything that you can remember specifically that said, I want to do that? And who was that?
Yeah. I got my guitar. My first guitar I got because of Nirvana. I'm pretty sure. I wanted, you want to learn how to play Smells Like Teen Spirit. Mm-hmm. And then Korn too. The two of them I think were like pretty important for me. Being pretty young too, and I think I was too young to really be listening to either of them really at the time. ultimately, you know, when you look back, it was pretty gnarly stuff for the Cayless too. But at the same time, you know, I think those two I see were very, very important for me. And I don't know that I knew that I was going to be a singer necessarily, but it was just more of a creative thing. You know, it was more of like I put together melodies and I had thoughts, and it was just really organic in that sense, you know?
Yeah. You had a group of friends that were in the same sort of shit that you were into, and essentially decided to start a band. Gotcha.
Yeah, you just kind of find people. You're like, oh, you know, especially like I'm talking about the very beginning. I'm talking about like 15 years old or something. Like, you're like, oh, you know, you play drums, cool. I have a guitar, and then this guy can have a bass, and then, you know, let's and you know, we get together in the garage and we would try to cover Green Day songs and try to cover, you know, like at the time, Slapstick was a big band we loved from Chicago, Suicide Machines. We loved them, and all kinds of stuff like that in the very beginning. So, you know, it was I don't know, it was a really fun time when you I haven't thought about it in a while, but you stop and think about it. It was just, you know, there's no rules, and it's just awesome.
Which is like exactly what I think you could do with with the micro EP, and the stripping away these boundaries that rock and roll has traditionally had. Shiprock's a great indication of how a fan can adapt to your band or find your band and become so enthralled and in love with that band or your form of art, that the rules sort of get stripped away. They're not looking at it like this is what it's supposed to sound like or look like or feel like or release like or blah blah blah. You get to kind of make up your own you know, destiny, if you will. So I wanted to ask you how you got started, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and then you think of, you know, how long ago that was, and then all the things you've experienced, you know, going from like the punk stuff and then getting way into like kind of the new metal stuff and then hardcore, and like you go through all those different phases, and then when you are now, you're like a combination of all of those things, and they've all made their way into your DNA, I think, you know, and so like all of that stuff kind of permeates from you when you're creating, I think, at this point, you know.
I completely agree. That's awesome to hear.
Regarding adaptation, real quick, we have another question from Jennifer. She wants to know, Joe, what's your favorite atmosphere when you're playing live? You like club, theater, arena, festival, or shiprocked? Don't have to be biased.
Shiprocked first.
Okay.
You baited him.
What's better than being on the top deck, you know, when it's beautiful outside?
Let's if we could just shift for a second and focus on that. I mean, you guys have played it twice now. The second time going in, you kind of know what to expect. When you first came on, the first time you guys played it, what were you guys thinking when you go, we're playing a cruise and it's going to be set up in this situation where it's not like a festival where you're kind of cordoned off and then you play and then you might do a meet and greet and you're gone. This is pretty, you know, you're basically hand in hand with the fans and guests and everything. Like, what were your thought processes when you first got on and then when you left? That's that first time.
The first time, I remember feeling we were all really excited. You know, we were really excited. We were out on a tour that time with it was In This Moment, POD, and New Year's Day, and we went into the ship from there. And I remember, you know, hearing about Shiprock, seeing it, thinking, wow, that'd be so cool to do that, and not really thinking you're ever going to do it. You just don't expect to do that. And then I remember everybody telling me how amazing it was going to be, and you know, you don't really know until you do it. And then the moment when we were pulling off, and the sun was setting and Seether was playing, I remember looking around, and I think I was hanging out with some of the Beartooth guys, and I remember just looking around and being like, oh yeah, this feels magical. I remember stopping and thinking that. And so it really did. And then, you know, the receptions we got, we played, the first one we did was in the bar room. I can't think of the name of it, but you know, in the bar, in the lounge where we did the interview.
Yeah.
We did the game or whatever, you know, like last time.
I forget what the traditional
Eagles. Anyway,
Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but and then you know, the show packed out, and it was just such a wild, you know, show there. And you know, we were like hanging from the ceiling and doing all kinds of awesome stuff. And it just felt like I was in a club. I forgot I was on a boat, you know?
Yeah.
And then so it was so cool. Then once you're done with the show, you're on a boat, you're on a cruise. And so you're chilling and you're running into people, and everybody's so respectful. And it just felt great. You know, it feels really good. And then we did the top deck, and that was incredible. We did it like in the morning. I felt like I was on like MTV Beach House or something like that, you know, and we handed out a bottle of whiskey to everybody in the front row, and it was a magical time. We all just thought it was so fun, you know.
So pivot to the second time you guys come on. This time the band's more established. You got some names. Your name is out there. What was it like coming on and playing this last time then?
Well, it was just as fun. I mean, it was just as fun. But yeah, you kind of expect things a little bit more. You know, you kind of know how it's going to go. And I paced myself a lot more the first time. The first time, you know, we did our thing. I mean, I don't know if I was just not running into people, but I think we were up later than everybody that I can recall. Maybe I know some of the Seven Dust guys were around, but we were up until the sun came up, and then we go to bed. We go eat breakfast with people that just woke up, and then we go to sleep. You know, so like I know we went real hard, and then this time we all paced ourselves a lot more. And I think it was, you know, both of them were enjoyable, but you know, but it's a grateful feeling. I feel grateful that we're a part of it and that we're accepted by everybody so much. It's amazing.
That's awesome, because I remember when we made the announcement you guys were going to be on this last time, and it was a big deal for a lot of people, because at that point, like you said, I mean, these people are festival goers, they're into every show. If you've been on before, they're going to follow your band, and so when they see an act coming back now that is out and somewhat established, it was a big deal for us. So thank you again. But it's so funny you're talking about staying up all night, like you're pulling Sean Morgan hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Sean never
who is this?
once. Sean from
What's
Aceta.
that?
Sean.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He parties for sure. He does. Yeah, absolutely.
You go to bed at night, he's still up. You wake up in the morning, get coffee, he's still up.
He's still up. Yeah. He's such a fun guy, man. Absolutely.
Anyway,
absolutely.
Our drummer Pooey, he was that person. We on our first time we were all that person, but our drummer Pooey maintained that sort of like, I'm going to stay up until the sun comes up every single night on every single shiprock we ever did. It gets pretty wild out there. And moving on from that, I mean, like after you're off the ship and then you go back out on the road or whatever, and you're in random spots in the middle of the US or even somewhere else in the world, and you start seeing their faces, these people that you remember eating breakfast with at that morning.
Yes.
You're like, wait, I know you. Oh shit! Or you see the shiprock gear. How does that make you feel when you like? Because a lot of the times you'll be on tour with a band that has no idea what shiprock is, right? And they'll see all these crazy people come show up at the show, and they'll be taking photos, they'll be hanging at the merch booth, they'll be doing all these sort of wild shit together, and then the night ends and you're sitting there with the band that you're on tour with, and like, so who the fuck were those people? Like, are those all your family members? And like, kinda, yeah.
I think I called them like the most fun cult that exists. I think when we first did it, and like I know we run into people. They'll bring the shiprock flags. You know, people from all over the world, and I feel like it's usually when we're around Chicago or around one of those airports, maybe where it's like an international style thing where we'll run into a lot of people. But they're everywhere, and they're so much fun. And you know, like you said, like they're just super fun, and you just wouldn't get it unless you did it. That's what it is, and that's why it's so special.
They are exceptional people, and their music knowledge is off the fucking charts. And they, you know, it's one of those osmosis things for bands, is that they come on, and then the shiprock people will support them in their career after they leave the ship. They'll go get 20 people together in Columbus or wherever and go to that gig.
You're correct. Yeah.
And they'll tell their friends, hey man, we saw us on shiprock, and then you know they become loyal, because you know it's a two-way street. Like, you want to come on shiprock, something we love to do, and we're going to support your band. So we always like are just, you know, we always impress that upon bands who are first coming on. Like, you know, you're gonna make 3,000 lifer fans here. So it's a great thing. So, but yeah, man, they're exceptional people, dude. But thank you so much, and for taking your time and spending time with them away from the ship when you guys are just on the road. They appreciate that. We do as well. So.
Of course. And we're like I said, we're appreciative to be a part of the whole thing. All of us are appreciative. So
I wanted to ask you something else too, because in and of that, we're all fans of the bands that are playing on the ship, right? And you mentioned Korn earlier, and I know you guys toured with Korn. So there was I wanted to first ask you, how did that feel? Did you know them previously before that, or was it like this is just your wildest dreams are coming true as a musician? Because I feel that same way when I'm on the ship, you know, or I've been in that position, but more or less like when I'm seeing some of my favorite bands play, I'm a fan, and I have that same exact energy that the shiprockers do, and that travels with me everywhere I go. So I wanted to ask you about Korn, and have you ever and then subsequently, have you ever had those sort of feelings on one of the last two times you were on the ship, like, oh my God, fucking Helmet's playing or something like that, you know?
Well, Helmet didn't play, but that you know, that would have been pretty awesome. Yeah, when we got we did 2 tours with Korn, and so the first time that we toured with them, I remember getting on that tour, and that was one of our first tours as DED, and we were just amazed that they accepted us and put us on the tour, because we did not know them.
Yeah.
But our Anti Everything, our first single was out and it was doing well, and I don't know if I don't know exactly why we got on it, but it was amazing. They were the coolest guys, and it was like that. It was like when they would come out and watch us play, and they would just hang, and like they're just normal dudes, and it was like getting validation from like some of the people that were really your biggest inspiration to play music. It makes you feel like you're not kidding yourself, I guess, because all artists feel that way sometimes. Like you have that self-doubt no matter what you do, and in a small way, or a big way for some people. But so I think, yeah, it was amazing. I mean, in DED, the last 4 or 5 years, we've met like almost anyone that we would want to have met, at least to have met people or played shows with everybody. And so it's really cool. We're kind of past that point of feeling starstruck, and I don't know that I ever really felt super starstruck. I did a little bit when I met Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio.
That's a good one.
But that was the very beginning of DED when we were out in LA recording our album. So like I said, it's just the validation of having someone you respect tell you that that you're doing a good job. I think is priceless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then on the boat, as far as, I feel like when you're on the boat, most of the bands that were on the boat, there was more of a camaraderie than a like looking up to somebody. It was more of like a inclusive thing, which I think is one of the coolest parts of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah, totally.
So, yeah, on the boat, it was just more just hanging out and running into people that you've maybe seen at festivals or toured with before, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Did you have like something like that on the boat? Like where you were like, like,
yeah. Our first show there was I think maybe a little bit different. Well, again, everybody's first show, I feel like that I've asked, their explanation is exactly like yours when they're like, we don't know what to expect. We went and partied hard. It blew our fucking minds. We couldn't believe we're on a rock and roll cruise. When we first played the first show we played, we were literally like no one. We didn't have a real record out or whatever. I had just been bugging our agent at the time because I saw this cruise was happening, and some of the bands that he booked subsequently were on that cruise. So I knew he had a line. I was like, can you just like ask? He's like, you got nothing. You don't have a record coming out until next year. I'm like, yeah, but can you just like ask? And he showed them some video, right? And I believe Alan was like, let's book them. And I was like, wait, he said yes. And we got on the ship. And again, we were like these fucking muskrats from Detroit that had absolutely no business being there. So when we got on the ship, it was very magical to begin with, like that same exact feeling. But then when we played our first show, we played it in at that time, it was on a different boat. And it was in this place called the Atrium, which is kind of like where that middle bar area is with all the elevators on the current boat we were just been on. And I looked out in the crowd, and it's like the whole fucking place is packed. And I see the Five Finger Death Punch guys are watching us play. The Seven Deaths guys are watching us play. Candlebox is watching us play. And I'm like, wait a second, like this is not happening, right? This is like not happening. And then the next day I woke up and I'm watching, I believe it was Seven Dust or Papa Roach. I can't remember who it was at that moment. It was Papa Roach. And there's Jerry Horton wearing our fucking t-shirt. Like he went to the merch store and got the t-shirt. And then the next show I went to, I saw it was Kevin, the singer from Candlebox, Kevin is wearing the fucking band's t-shirt on stage. I'm like, wow, not happening. What the fuck? And I was starstruck because again, these are people that I so much looked up to and had been doing all of the things that I've been aiming to try to do. And here they are. Yeah. They kind of, I don't know if they were forced to watch me or something like that, but it was crazy, And that's the same way that it's the same feeling with the fans. When you're on that ship and you remove yourself from that ship, that same feeling you have with the fans, you have with the bands that you met, whether you knew they existed or not. You became friends because you were in this together. And then moving forward, when you see them at festivals or you end up getting on tour with them or something like that, it's like seeing your brother you haven't seen in like years, and you just get to get along immediately. It's a great feeling. It really is. Family. It is. It is. Yeah. I would say this time around too was a little bit different. Just being on there like with Maria and I being together, that was really cool. Like we got to kind of have a little vacation together, And then I got to go watch her do her piano set
which was amazing. And then I got to do mine, and she'd come, you know, so like it was a little bit different because the last time I was there just with my boys. So it was a little more like vacationing, which was actually really nice. And I really enjoyed that too. You know, watching her do her thing, which is just, you know, amazing. I love watching her play piano, and I watched her put that set together when we were home together and stuff. And so it was cool. It was a little more vacationing, which I enjoyed. A little more relaxing and chilling, you know.
That was going to be part of my question. Sorry, Justin.
No, I want to get another question here from our ship rockers. Henry, he wants to know, Joe, what's your favorite song to play live?
Well, now it's one of our newer songs called ISO and Shut. We played that when we did our last run in Europe with Wage War, and ISO and Shut is just so much fun live. But Everything is just so fun live because the way the crowd goes off on that, and the chanting, and the pit is usually the most violent during that one. So that's awesome. But I really love just, you know, all the songs. I love playing them all.
Okay. Hey, can I sneak one more question? And this one's kind of a fun one. And Janet, she wants to know who your favorite 80s heavy metal, favorite 80s hair band is. I'm sorry.
There's a lot. I love so many of them.
Who's the top?
Top, what's that?
Who's the top three? If there's a lot of them, who's the top three in that team?
Yeah.
So who's the power bottom one when you're doing the top three?
I love Poison. I love Slaughter, and I'm trying to think, man. 80s. I mean, I guess I'll say Motley Crue. I'm trying to think right now, but yeah, probably Motley Crue, Slaughter, Motley Crue, and Poison. Yeah.
Well, Slaughter's kind of the outlier in that bunch. So yeah, good for you, man. You know, you're thinking outside the box.
Dude, Up All Night and Flight of the Angels. Just, I mean, I remember like sitting by the radio when I was real young, trying to record those on a cassette, you know, off the radio and stuff. Cause you know, whatever. Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for your answers on that, man. Appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah, of course.
When's this new record coming out?
So that's in great debate and being figured out now. But you know, we have a new album, and you know, we just have to figure out how to release it. Because I think initially we've really only been in quarantine for about 2 months now. So I think initially it was like, okay, let's see how long this lasts. And now it's going to be a while, right? So I think now we're having to just kind of pivot and figure it out. I don't have a date yet, but I'm pushing everybody really hard because I would really like to release it sooner than later.
Yeah. Do you guys have you don't have to tell us if you don't like to, when you can't or something, but did you have like a planned tour that had to be rescheduled, or did anything get canceled? Like, where were you guys at in the touring space when all this happened?
Yeah, that was, we were going out with In This Moment and Black Veil Brides. It was a full 2 month. I think we would have just been finishing it middle of May or something like that. We were supposed to close the tour at Red Rocks, which was just, you know, terrible because that we were all so excited to play there, and really just the whole tour really was a great package of bands, and it was just really exciting. So, but I know they're trying to, you know, reschedule it, and you know, I'm waiting to hear on that. But yeah, that's what we were supposed to be doing for the last, you know, 2.5 months, 2 months.
Yeah,
and it was a bummer.
Yeah, and I can't imagine like the Red Rocks thing in particular is like. And that's like a huge bucket list. I'm sure you're going to get there no matter what. But
right.
The idea that you were so fucking close, you know, like, and this happened, it's got to be really frustrating. And obviously, we all know that at some point in time, our lives will hopefully resume to somewhat of a normal version of what they once were, being in the entertainment space. Who knows when that'll happen? But I can understand. I understand that you have an issue because you have this killer fucking record, and the idea of putting it out before you can actually physically play it live in front of people in any sort of version of that kind of fucks up your plans in general. So you're just in like this treading water space. And I know you probably can't tell us much more than, you know, I don't know when the release date's going to be, but have you guys started to like think about, well, what if we can't tour for the rest of the year? Like, what are we going to put the record out? Okay.
Yeah, we thought about all those things, and like that's what I mean. Like, if there was more of a definitive answer, then we could come up with a better game plan.
Sure.
So, you know, it's still also up in the air, and I know that every artist is dealing with this right now. And so, like you said, you know, in the sense of like releasing music, maybe we'll release a couple songs here and there, space it out. You know, like I said, I can't say what we're going to do exactly, but you know, like I said, I'm pushing. I want to release it. You know, I want to get it out there for people. But you know, we got a lot of things involved. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
So
Art and
we got to
commerce
figure
is
out.
crazy.
Hey, Joe,
What's that?
The art and commerce of it all is crazy because like, but you know, work so hard on this and we put all our time on it. Now we just have to. But at the end of the day, you could release it and it could essentially be fallen upon deaf ears because of the time and place of where we're at in society. Is it, you know, like that versus the version of what's more important right now? But the inner like pride and excitement that you have, it's got to be hard to hold back, man.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag for sure. It is. But then, you know, you see other bands release albums and it's, you know, it's really cool that their album's out and I'm enjoying listening to them, you know, like,
Sure.
Like Code Orange's album or In This Moment released the Mother album. And it's amazing to have new music out while people are home and they can
That's the other part of it.
that, you know, and so there's a part of me that at least wants to release some more music, if not the whole thing, at least something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's got to be like you know, we got to get everybody aligned and figure it out the right way.
Yeah, totally.
Joe, with the new video for Mannequin Idol out, it's kind of ties into some questions here that I'm just going to kind of combine them into one question. It's basically like over the years, the band has morphed and look. I mean, how much thought do you put into like your look? Like you guys were talking earlier. I mean, your first album came out, you were clean shaven kind of guy. You guys were doing a little different thing. Now you're kind of more bringing more costumes and different looks into it. You're growing your beards out, hair, everything like that. How much thought you guys put into that? Or is it just something that's just kind of organically happening? Or does someone say one day like, hey, let's go with this look?
Right.
Yeah.
Like the very beginning, like the first however many shows we played, you know, very beginning, we all wore like black straight jackets with our eyes whited out and stuff. And it was the first time I ever really dressed up in a band ever. And again, I think it was just part of the fun aspect of doing it and the aesthetic, combining the aesthetic with the sound. It really, I think it made it more powerful. And so when, you know, I think we just wanted to push it further this time, and it was organic. It was like, but it was thoughtful. You know, it was like let's find you know, something that makes me feel like I'm playing the music, I guess, and it's part of that. It goes together with the way the music feels, I think. You know, and so this is where we're at for right now. You know, the things that we do now on stage, and that might change. You know, it might change. And, you know, the next time we come out, it might not. I mean, I'm really not sure. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's just like art, just like a new song or a new idea. So it's an ever-evolving thing, I think,
You
for
know,
me.
you made a really good point. So you said it makes me feel the music because it everything ties in. Part of the story is obviously the visuals of music. So yeah, you guys have a grittier sound right now. Very well polished, but it has a grit to it. So yeah, so the kind of new look with the powdered and the flowery and the whited out. Yeah, it's great. And it actually kind of ties in with Chad too. When they first came out, he's going, you know, that was like denim vests and beards and haven't showered for weeks. And then the last album they put
still the same.
there's just like a lot of techno disco colors. And you're
Neon and yeah.
It's like, hey man, you know, it's okay for bands to change. So
Yeah, I agree.
So I
You
hope
nailed it on the head with the DNA. I don't want to interrupt if there's another Shiprock question, but I did want to say something that what you said about the DNA of where you came from. You can't deny that. We're not just one type of people. We're all, as artists, we're all types of different people. We're a product of our environment, how we came up, and to deny any of that aspect of us in our real lives, it's like it's a shame for the art that you could make and you can create. And there should be no boundaries. You know, like what you put out, especially in the rock space in 2020, pushing those lines and figure like you guys are doing, pushing those lines and finding new ways to communicate your message in your art. And the fans that you make through that subsequently will not only be probably more invested in what you're doing, but they're going to believe you and trust in you. And if you're just honest, you know, just doing what you feel like, this is what I feel like now.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and because you're not the same person you were, nobody, like regardless of art or anything,
skin
you're not
cells.
the same person you were. What's that? Yeah,
Skin cells aren't even the same, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's ever evolving for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Justin, I didn't know if you had another Shiprock question, but
I was trying to take a couple of different questions and put them into that last question I had for Joe. Listen, we have one that's is sort of a mentor question, Joe. One of our shiprockers, Amanda, said her son wants to play music for a living. And obviously do you have any advice during this time we're going through right now? I mean, obviously this will fade and we'll kind of hopefully get back to some sort of normal. But do you have any advice right now for someone who's wanting to maybe make music for their living?
This is such a hard question. You know, I guess there's the obvious answers to it. Like practice a lot, work with like-minded people that you appreciate, that you enjoy, that you can get along with for a long period of time. You know, I would say those things. I would say be honest with yourself, be honest with your art, say things that are important to you, all those things. I would also say read books about music business, rather than just worrying about being really awesome at shredding. Learn the business side, because it ends up becoming very important. You know, once you reach a certain level, you need to know about, you know, all kinds of things. You know what I mean? That's the short answer. You know what I mean? But as far as making it your living, it's a hard thing to do, and I think you really got to know if you truly love it, and if it really just calls to you that much. You know, then make it your, I guess, you know, then making it your living is something you could do.
Yeah, well, you hit on two good points. Is that people need to become more educated in the business aspect of this, and that means how many times have we heard about in history how many bands have been ripped off because not everyone in the band knew how the business worked.
Yeah.
If you have someone who went to law school in your band, you're golden.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? I think that, so I think you had a lot of good answers for us. So Amanda, I hope you respond well to what Joe had to say, and good luck with your son.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, having the business knowledge in today's area of music, of art and entertainment in general, just even if you can understand what you're signing yourself up to do, is super crucial. Have you guys been in a situation ever, maybe even not in this band or when you were younger, before, was it a Man-Made Machine before this?
Yeah. Was
that your first band?
No. I've had 5 bands, I think. That was the last one before this band, though. Yeah.
What's the which act were you in that you transitioned from, like, what we're talking about? I got two speakers on stands, man. Come over to my house and play. And then you're like, okay, I'll load up all my shit. Did we make any money? Oh no, man, you didn't get paid tonight. Like, where did you? What point in this did you figure out that, like, oh, I got to be a little bit more, like, gruff about what I say yes to and what I don't see? You know, when you're thinking about it differently, because there's attention. Probably somebody wants you to play. They're asking you. You're not begging them. So
right.
You know, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, I guess I feel like it was organic. The first band I was ever in, like you said, it was called Going Postal, and it was like I said, it was a punk band. And then I got into a band called Half Gain, and this was when I was in more like high school time, and there was like a scene. I guess that was when we really found like our place. Because the first band, we were really young. We were trying to be a part of the punk scene, but we were really young and we could only do so much. You know what I mean? And then once we were like 17 or so, 18, and we're, you know, in high school, you have all your friends, you know, you kind of get more friends to come out and stuff like that. And there was like a scene, and we're actually playing in cool venues and opening for, I remember we opened for Papa Roach on their Infest album back then, you know, and Taproot. I think it was Papa Roach and Taproot and stuff. And that was like the coolest thing. And, you know, so it's just a gradual thing, and you just slowly meet people in the scene, and those people, you know, it's like this long web of people, and you just slowly just kind of work your way up, and you know, people, you know, might like you or not. You know, it's so hard to even remember how it all happened, but it's like you said, it's organic. It's just natural. You go and play shows, you meet people, you try to team up with bands that you enjoy, and then, you know, you want to play shows with them, and you create your own little kind of scene and your little clique, I guess. And you know, you try to sell tickets to play with other bands, national bands, when you're a kid, and you know, just did everything that, you know, that you should do in a band. You know, we did all of it. Yeah. You know, so it's very gradual, very gradual.
That lesson,
I'm sure you did all of it.
Well, the lesson that you learn and through the process of playing music in general, the life lessons that it serves you on a daily basis, from when you were 14 years old to today. It's something new every single day. that you get to like take away from, hopefully have perspective on, and then deliver a better version of something else into the world, whether that's learning how to book your own show and doing the sort of economics of being in a band, and then also how do I speak to people in a more respectful tone, or what am I putting out in the world? There's reactions to every action that I give to the world, and what am I looking for? And walking into a room of people after you've been in a band and been on a stage for a long time, I still get scared shitless to talk to like anybody in a public situation outside of like being in a band. Like I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I'm weird, But like for that moment when I'm on, 30 minutes on the stage with the microphone, I'm like, okay, I'm just somebody else right now, or whatever version of it. That part of me, I'm as sure as has been able to find a home in so many other places in my life. Have you guys been in any like absolutely shitty situations as DED, like where you're going to get into a fight with a fan or something bass backwards that you have to check yourself and remember, oh, I know how to deal with this. I dealt with this when I was 15,
Right. Wow. That's I'm really not good at recalling like scenarios. If someone tells me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was, that was cool. I can't recall anything like that right now. Like, but I'm sure it happens all the time. I'm sure there's so many scenarios where we would be, you'd be frazzled or whatever, but you've done it before. So, you're like, oh, cool. We broke down or we didn't, I don't know, or some band's treating us like shit on the show and whatever, we got to go and be stern with them or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to grasp it, anything. But I'm sure that everything that we've learned along the way is come in handy, like in some way, shape or form. In different
What's your worst breakdown? You guys broke down on the road, I take it?
Well, with DED, we've been very lucky. We only had one really bad breakdown. We were going to play Rockfest in Wisconsin, and we broke down somewhere, I think it was North Platte, which is in some state. I can't think of where it is. Maybe Nebraska. Yeah. And we broke down North Platte, which we ate Domino's pizza every day for a week, I think, because we were stuck there. And we ended up flying home, and it was the worst breakdown. We ended up flying home and then flying back and getting a rental car, picking up our van, driving it back to Arizona. And it was terrible. But we've had other ones, like in older bands, where we were had an RV and we broke down on the side of the road, and they couldn't come and do anything till the next day. So I remember we drank like every bit of alcohol we had that night in the RV, and woke up to like the cops knocking on the door, and they pulled us out, and that whole super fun thing, So there's been a million things, over time that, I don't know, you learn from, and, and I try to balance myself a little bit more, definitely not as much partying as I used to, but there's a time and place for everything.
Sure. When you're broken down on the side of the road, that's when you
exactly. I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Speaking of road stories, Tim wants to know what's your funniest road story?
Oh man. Again, not good at recalling stories. I feel like we're having fun all the time. You know what I mean?
Is there an incident somewhere that you kind of, somewhere in your mind?
Man, like I said, like probably Matt would be good at this, but I really can't think of anything like off the top of my head, really, like the quintessential story, but I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff, I guess I'm always just trying to live in the now, trying to live in the moment. And I just can't think of it,
All right. No worries. Hey, Tim.
Yeah. Sorry, Tim.
He just can't recall.
Fuck you.
Not to be rude, brother. Not to be rude. I can't think of anything.
So, talking about the record coming up, which will eventually come out the full length. Is there a name for it? Another Tim wants to know if you guys have a name chosen yet for it, if you can disclose that.
I do have a name. I can't disclose it yet.
Okay. Sorry, Tim. Yeah. 2 Tims, both struck out.
Man. Yeah, 2 Tims.
Hey, we do have one more from Randy. I think you can probably answer this one. Is there a song you want to cover?
There's all kinds of songs I want to cover. I've actually been working on a bunch of covers. And Maria and I have actually been practicing about this, playing guitar and singing together and working on a bunch of covers. And one that I want to cover with DED, I guess. We recorded a cover which may or may not be on the album. I don't know if it's going to make it or not. There's all kinds of songs. We did a cover of Nine Inch Nails, Had Like a Hole for Octane, which is awesome. I have a lot of songs I want to cover. And a lot of them would probably maybe not even be something that we would use in Dead. I'd love to, cover like some old Minor Threat or something like that. And,
Okay.
Maybe like, I don't know, all kinds of things. Maybe it'd be really cool to do like a heavy version of Radiohead maybe too, or something. There's a lot of fun ideas.
Fake plastic trees.
But like heavy, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That could be amazing. Yeah. But yeah, we recorded one for the new album, and we'll see if it ends up making the album. Like I said, once we decide how to release it.
Well, I think that I know I'm probably not going to get the same. I'm going to get the same answer as Tim here. I was going to ask if there's a favorite track that you have on the record, but if you're holding back on that, I don't want to push.
I can't have too much info about it, but I do love I love every song we did, honestly.
What number is it on the track on the track listing? So at least
Well, I'm still working on the track listing.
Oh, okay.
We're all arguing over that. We're in the arguing over the track listing phase still right now. So
that's a great segue to a question I have, and I don't want to ask you a bunch of them, but like that's one of my favorite parts is like once the songs are all recorded and we know what it's going to sound like, because I usually think about it as a whole when I go into it, in some way, shape, or form, and then when it's done, it's obviously completely different than the way I imagined it when we started, right? So then you're putting these pieces together, because the idea in your head is, even if you're doing this unique way of releasing new music in 2020 in digital platforms, in your brain, you still want to, and it is important, honor the idea of the long play. You put the record in and it takes you through the 30 minutes or 45 minutes of your story, your life. This is how fans connect in those little intimate moments of like pause between tracks, even kind of play into that. Do you guys take into consideration all of those little minute details as well?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of that. We probably call it the flow. The flow of the songs, the way it flows.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like I said, that's why there's a lot of debate on we want to have like 4 bangers right up front, and then chill it out, and then bring it back up, and then like like you said, take them on a ride, take them on a roller coaster, some sort of sonic roller coaster. That's definitely thought about for sure.
Yeah,
and it's, it happens with every release I've ever done.
Yeah.
Hey, I got another question real quick. This is actually a really good one. I didn't even think about it. Robert wants to know, Joe, if you had to switch positions in the band, what instrument you would play and who would sing?
Well, the only other thing I couldn't play drums. I couldn't play the drums like Matt can. I guess I'd either be bass or guitar. I don't know who would sing. David and Kyle can both. I think they can both generally sing. I don't know, it'd be hard, man. Yeah, I guess I'd probably just jump on guitar and bass. Bass is pretty fun. Bass is pretty fun because I feel like there's not, no hate on bass players, but if we were the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I'd be like, all right, I can't play bass because I can't do like Flea or whatever. But for our style of music, like I could probably do it, do our songs. So yeah, it'd be fun to be the bass, just be that low end and just that crunch.
Bass, and then Kyle could go to vocals.
Yeah, Kyle could do vocals. Yeah.
Okay, so God forbid, every one night your voice is blown out, you got to still play. There you'll switcheroo.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we could do it. I don't know if Kyle could hit the rapping parts or not. I don't know if he can rap or not, but we'd have to see.
That's awesome. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
Joe, you've given us almost an hour of your time, man, and we really appreciate you taking this Friday to spend some time with us in our Shiprock family. And thank you, everyone on Facebook Live, for asking such great questions. I got to tell you, though, personally, I spent like almost a good portion of 2019 on the road with Joe, and a lot of these things I did not know because, Chad, as you guys know, you talk a lot, but sometimes you really don't get to talk a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Thank you. You actually, you know what? Getting to know you, and then there's getting to know you.
Right. Well, we talked a lot about.
We did talk a lot.
Music
There's some stuff, though. I never pried into your background. I mean, Chad knew more about bands you're in than I did, and I consider myself pretty knowledgeable. I thought about the here and now. I didn't think about what was Joe doing 10 years ago? So
I'm just creepy. I'm sorry.
no, dude, that's good. That's good. But no, so this is really good for me, and I really enjoyed the aspect of getting to know you. And again, it's always great for the Shiprockers to get to know the band, not just what you're doing now or what you're doing future, but where you came from and what your style is. And so they get a little closer to you that way. Chad, did you have anything else to finish up with for Joe?
I mean, no, I think other than when you planning on shaving your beard, is there like do you give yourself a threshold, I suppose? Like this time, this is when I'm going to shave it.
Well, I haven't. That's why I'm wearing a beanie. I'm waiting. Maria's gonna cut my hair maybe tonight or tomorrow, actually. So we're doing home haircuts and stuff.
Nice.
I'll probably have her trim on my beard a little bit. I think she wants me to keep growing it, so I'm gonna see if I can get her to do it or not. But
All
but
right.
Yeah, so we'll see. I might just trim it up, but it's not gonna go away anytime soon. That's for sure.
Good. I hope the next time I see you, I'm filled with rage for the jealousy that I have over your beard. That's the way I would say.
Well, I can't wait for that day.
Yeah, man.
With us. We have a very special contest coming up. We'll let you guys know on Monday what it is, but DED was generous enough to give us some of the shirts that they actually had on Shiprock from 2020, and we'll be doing a little contest for those, and we'll let you know what that is on Monday and how many will be available, but that's very gracious of the band, and so we appreciate you, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Dave, on that. Guys, we know it's very tumultuous time right now in our country. The last 48 hours have been crazy, and I don't think anyone could have scripted what's going on. So the fact that we can spend our Friday here talking about one thing that brings us together, this music, has been very healing, hopefully, for a lot of people. I pray for the people in Minneapolis that they get that all together and that we can move forward in this country. So just want to add that little bit. A little other housekeeping we have, guys. We have very few select cabins available for Shiprock 2021. So please go to shiprock.com and make sure and get your room, because as we say, you want to be waving from the ship and not the shore on the day we sail. Joe, is there any places that you can direct fans that can go and still support the band while we're on hiatus here?
Yeah, I mean, streaming us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you stream. Merch, our merch is on Merch Now. You can go there and pick up some merch. We're going to be posting some new merch in the next couple of days, actually, too. So go check out, keep an eye out for some new merch, and download the single. Do what you can. I know it's a crazy time. So we're just appreciative of everybody that continues to support us, and we're just excited to have some new music out there, and we can't wait to release the rest of it.
Well, guys, thank you very much. You guys heard it right there. So if you guys want to pick up some music or new threads from DED, you can go to those areas to pick those up. Once again, Joe, thank you so much. Best to Maria, please give her her best, and obviously the rest of the band. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the road. I'll catch up with you later, Joe.
Sounds good.
As always, mi amigo, we'll do this again very soon. Guys, we'll be announcing our next Making Waves here very shortly. And also keep in mind, we will be switching to a podcast for Making Waves, and we'll have more information about that. And actually, this episode will be the first podcast. So, Joe, and anyway,
awesome.
Yeah, we'll be coming back with more virtual events, trivia and bingo upcoming. Again, just stick to our Facebook pages, Instagram pages, and your emails, and we'll be getting all that information to you. Again, once again, everyone, take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. Thank you for spending your Friday with us. Again, Joe, good luck with everything, buddy. Chad, we'll see you.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate you guys and everybody out there. Thank you.
Everybody out.